Poof, and we're here like
And we
magic.
are in there. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me good? I'm still
Yeah,
good. It's still
yeah, we
solid.
can. Yeah, we can hear you. You short, but we can hear you.
I mean, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? Us short people gotta live too. You know what I'm saying? The long the short people. You know what I'm saying? We straight. We ain't mad.
All
Us short
good.
people got big egos, so we make up for our height.
Yeah, we know it's called Napoleon complex. We know. We're aware. We're quite aware. All right. Well,
All right.
welcome y'all to episode 173.
Yeah,
We
we
got the intimate therapy today. Y'all see we got a special guest with us. We're gonna let her do a lot of the talking today, and we just gonna do a little bit of asking questions here and there. But
yeah.
y'all need to jump in the chat and ask questions along the way. Join in the conversation because y'all know that's why we do this live because that's what we all about. We
Facts.
want y'all to be involved with the conversation as well. So,
Facts.
but before we get started, we got to check on our people. We got Dr. Johnson with us, and she is going to tell you how she's doing today. Because how are you doing today, Dr. Johnson? And she's going to tell you a little bit about herself. So if you could give them just a little bit of background on you.
Okay, okay. Well, first of all, I'm doing good. I'm doing great, actually. I'm excited to be here tonight with you all, and I'm doing great. I had a long day though, but I'm excited about this part. I'm still in my office right now, where I see
Working.
clients.
The working. Getting the work in.
Yeah, I'm still in my office. But a little bit about me, professionally or personally. I'll start personally. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm a Mimi. And I love being the Mimi. I have three grandbabies.
Oh,
It's the it's the 2-year-old though that has me wondering if gentle parenting is gonna work for the pandemic kids. But no, but no, I love being a Mimi. Last Monday, my husband and I celebrated 30 years of marriage, and I have two adult children. So that's a little bit about me personally. Professionally, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of California. And I'm a professor at Antioch University. So I teach like human sexuality, couples and sex therapy, race and racism, as well as trauma. I'm a radio personality on KBLA 1580 Talk Radio, the only Black owned and ran talk radio west of the Mississippi, owned by Tavis Smiley.
yeah.
And I do a show called Let's Get Intimate with Dr. Jashana Johnson, really interviewing couples and knowing their intimate love story. Um, I, that's me.
She
That's me in a
wears
nutshell.
many hats, y'all.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Uh, so this conversation is going to be great because we're not gonna put her in one box. We're gonna kind of try, you know what I'm saying, put the peanuts and the raisins and the M&Ms and the cashews and all of that in the bag and chew on it. Yeah.
What kind of stuff you making, bruh? Like,
At first, I was like, "What are you making?" But then I thought, "Okay, trail mix."
Trail mix. There you go.
I thought he was making potato salad from the other people. So
Ah,
you
Not
know,
with the raisins.
yeah, with the raisins in that
Not with the
joint.
raisins.
You know what I
Nor
mean?
the nuts.
Hey, I've seen some stuff.
I
I've
mean,
seen
hey,
some
you know
stuff.
what I mean? Hey, when you got to wear all of those hats, I mean, we can't just pigeonhole you and put you in one space. We got to put it all together. So,
That's
Okay.
that's a fact. That's a fact. And congratulations on that 30 years.
Yeah.
that's a momentous occasion, man. Like especially nowadays, because we talk about dating and marriage on this show, a pretty good amount. And man, marriages nowadays just ain't making it.
No.
He ain't
But
making it. People
Yeah.
people people giving up left and right, and I get it. If something changes or people situation becomes toxic for you, but
Hmm.
gone are the days where like old folks used to say, you got to fight for your love. You got to go
Yeah.
through some things. People like, not me.
that, like, folks ain't fighting today. They giving up. They like,
Nah, because you know what? We talk about all the time the options, the
Yeah.
optics of options, the optics of it. Because the options
Yeah.
ain't really there, but it looks like you have a bunch of options. So,
Yeah.
people, you like, I got options. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and leave. All right, you out there
Yeah.
for the
People
streets.
used to people used to quit their marriages because they were unhappy. Now they quit their marriages because they believe they can be happier.
Mm.
that's a good point. That's a
Yeah,
good point.
Hmm.
they believe. That's the key word. They believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, but hopefully, today we can share some information with somebody that will be helpful and shed some light on some subjects for them. Because you're a wealth of knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of the things that you discuss, that you do, and that you cover at the college. That's a lot of different avenues to talk about. So, you know what I'm saying? But Benji's driving the bus today. So,
Just a little.
Benji Banks, you know what I'm saying? First of all, tell us how you doing today. And then, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and get the tour going.
Man, you know what? I'm doing straight. It's just I'm wondering, like, because we moved in this new neighborhood, and when you invite, I don't want to say niggers. Okay, when you invite new people into an area, you know what I'm saying? You invite everything that comes along with people, right? So the traffic is starting to pick up, and it's like, dang. So what used to take me 20, 25 minutes is now like 40-minute little shindig, right? So we're dealing with that. And then, folks can't drive. So, two accidents on the same freeway today. I'm like, what is going on? But other than that, I'm straight. You know what I mean? We got the shop up and running. We got, new house, got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I'm grateful. New musician at the church, and we rocking that. You know what I'm saying? We're just doing a whole bunch. But other than that, man, I'm solid. I'm good. So we straight. So
That's dope. That's dope. It's always good to hear, man. Everybody's doing well and things are going well for everybody, because we know in this world it could be the other way. So,
right.
you know what I'm saying? We are always excited and happy to hear great things going on in people's lives. We got one comment already before we go in, Dr. Johnson. Monique asked you, a good friend of the show. She said they treat marriage more like a boyfriend girlfriend relationship. So
That's actually dope, I think.
I mean, it could be viewed two different ways though.
Right.
Because the boyfriend girlfriend thing is cool, because you could experience things from a different aspect, but some people don't have the ownership involved,
Mm.
the responsibility of you being with that person exclusively.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's where that title comes in, because you talking about marriage and you talking about dating, and those are two big differences, right? Because especially nowadays, because people feel like if you're dating, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, it's a gray area in there that means you can have friends. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? When you married, ain't no friends, ain't none of
Mm.
these quote unquote friends, ain't none of that.
Mhm.
Well, there shouldn't be,
You
Well,
lock
because
that depends.
gonna
That
lock that
depends.
in on
That
the top.
depends.
yeah, well, yeah.
If you're in a polyamorous relationship.
Yeah,
Right.
and we've had guests on the show that have talked exclusively about that, and we've learned a lot about that. In 2024, we've learned a lot about what I'm saying, the poly life. And shout out to those guests that came through and blessed us with that knowledge. And we're gonna have them back. We want to have an episode specifically about that, so we can
Right.
educate people on that world. But
Mhm.
Probably be
but
pulling on Dr. Johnson again. So, I'm just saying,
yeah,
kind of
because they're yeah
level
because
headed to all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, because they're not experts. They're just, they're living the life. But we also would like to have probably an expert on to talk, you know what I'm saying, from another aspect of, you know what I'm saying, that life as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Benji, take it away, my brother.
All right. She's already introduced herself. So, first, let me say thank you for having me and my wife on your show. You guys are great friends and I've known each other for years. So, appreciate that. Thank you for having us on your show. And shout out the show again. What's the name of the show again?
Let's get intimate with Dr. Jashana Johnson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, y'all go check her out. We're going to shout it later, but y'all go check the show out. It's a dope couple show. And it was amazing. Great experience to be on live and be on that. So appreciate her for that.
It was
And
amazing to have you.
yeah, I enjoyed it because this is what we do as far as our show and so forth. So it's always good to kind of connect and collaborate with other people. And I told you from that point, I was like, yo, we got to have you our show. So here we are. And first, let me just say again, congratulations on the 30 years. But also,
Thank you.
I want to jump right into one of our topics for tonight. And
Uh-huh.
let's talk intimacy.
Okay.
In your profile, it talks about you being an intimacy researcher. So give us
Uh-huh.
of information on what that means to our audience.
Okay. So of course we know what a researcher is, right? And for me as an intimacy researcher, I am one who looks at what psychology has told us intimacy is and comparing that to the lived experiences of the personal stories that I have access to through my clients.
Right.
Um, and so I think it's important as a researcher and a therapist that I take in information from our clients' lived experiences and
Right.
understand their own deep knowing because I know sometimes we call ourselves experts, but I'm not an expert of other people's lives.
Right.
I am an expert at being able to ask them really hard questions and really good questions that help them come into their own understanding. I am of the belief that there's a deep knowing within all of us, and certain questions and conversations can bring that truth out. And so I think it's important as a intimacy researcher to be able to think and see the truth in more than one way. I
Right.
know that as a couples and sex therapist, that some of the theories and things that I have learned has been colonized.
Right.
And with that being said, in decolonizing my work, I also have to really look at what does intimacy mean to other people,
Right.
because the intimacy that has been defined in our books and in our theories have come from people who do not necessarily come with the marginalized and oppressed lifestyles or ways of living. And
Right.
so for me, intimacy is really about allowing yourself to be known,
Right.
and it is also vulnerability, but that can look different for many different people according to their own upbringing, their own lifestyle, and their own lived experiences in this world. And
So
so I literally get understanding from my clients as to what it means to them.
right. So in that space, what would be a question that you would ask a particular client? Like, how do you go about getting those type of questions from them, or even asking them? What type of questions do you typically run across, and when you're doing that?
Oh, it's as simple as, what does intimacy mean to you? What
Okay.
does it look like? How does that show up in your body? What does it feel like in your body? What emotions are attached to that? What narratives, what stories do you have around that? I believe that we all have a story, and we have a hero, we have a villain in it, and so the villain is the problem. Like, why isn't intimacy happening in your life between you and your partner, or even within yourself? And what's the hero, what's the solution? Like, how do you envision this looking different? So it's as simple as, what does intimacy mean to you? What does love mean to you? What does that look like? I had a client the other day tell me, I think I'm more comfortable wanting than having.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And is that in relation to everything, or is that just sexually or intimacy?
Well, you know, sex and sexuality is a powerful window into who we are. I believe that how we show up in our bedrooms is typically how we show up in the world.
Hmm. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Talk
Interesting.
now. You gotta talk to us about that, because
Yeah.
talk to us, because how you show up in the bedroom is how you show up in the world. Is if my ego is in the bedroom, do I have that ego outside? Talk
Most
that.
likely, absolutely. And if your ego is fragile in the bedroom, it's probably fragile in the world.
Um,
But
now,
what about those times?
If you have difficulty asking for your needs to be met in the bedroom, you probably have difficulty asking for your needs to be met in the world. If you have difficulty setting boundaries in the bedroom, you probably have difficulties setting boundaries. If you can't show up, you showing up to bed in the way that you pretend to be, not your authentic self, is probably the same way you're showing up in the world.
now you would say that that's for their job, that's for everything. Like if they're fragile in that
Yeah,
space,
yeah,
we fragile out in the world.
yeah.
But what about those instances where we know people who may be one way in the bedroom and one way in the world? What about those people? Because
Fake
there
in the
are
bedroom, fake in the world.
well, I wouldn't, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like if this fake or not. You know what I'm saying? Because some people feel more confident, you know what I'm saying, in the bedroom than they do out in the world with a lot of people. Because then they usually in the bedroom with one person versus many people.
So it sounds like you're talking about like maybe some kind of social anxiety.
It
Possibly.
could be, could be.
Yeah.
That, in my experience, in my research, that typically shows up in the bedroom too.
Oh
They
Hmm.
may
wow.
not be saying it, but when we began to unfold, one of the things, like, because as a sex therapist, I deal with like even sexual dysfunctions. I'm starting to see where erectile dysfunction used to be an old man's issue. We're seeing this in young men as well. Part of that has to do with the social anxiety and the anxiety in the bedroom.
And where do
Hmm.
you think that stems from, though? Because we talked about that before. I have never heard of so many young guys talking about honey packs and gas station pills and all this other stuff, and I'm like, you 20 something years old, dude. What? Why do you need that?
You can't you can't be in your body and almost in your head at the same time. So if there's this anxiety about performance and this pressure, and I believe that men are socialized to that their manhood is in their body parts, in their penis,
Right.
right? And so when they're socialized to believe that, if they're afraid that it's not going to work, the anxiety increases, and there's a little bit of anxiety that you need for arousal, but it's a very fine line. Too much of that will cause you to not be able to show up in the bedroom.
And another
And so
thing, hold on, Benji.
go
We
go
got
ahead.
we got one comment. So Monique said it's the food. It could be that, and I was also thinking about. We talked about this on the show before. When we were young, like
Diet plays a role.
I didn't hear you.
That that definitely plays a role.
Yeah,
Okay.
diet plays a role, but we also talked about before when we were young. We had access to porn and things like that. But
Mhm.
now these young people, they have an overabundance access to it. And do you think that them becoming desensitized or them seeing, the stuff that they do in porn and maybe feeling inadequate or not being able to live up to those standards, what I'm saying, has some performance anxiety aspects as well?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't think necessarily desensitized, but I think the pressure to perform in what they see is definitely plays a role. So I often tell people, if you use porn, and there's nothing wrong with using porn or looking at porn, if that's your jam. We don't yuck anybody's yum. Okay.
Right.
The thing is that if you are looking at it to get educated on what to do, that's the wrong place to look, because porn was not created for education. It was created for entertainment. And so if you are trying to replicate what you saw, you have to take into consideration there was a script writer, there was a director, there were about 20 people on the set, there was lights, cameras, and digital alterations to all of that. And someone standing there with a bottle of water to squirt it to go all over the place at the end. Right. You're not, that's not gonna happen. Don't ask me how I know. Mind your business.
I was just about to say, hold on. But
I say all that to say that yes, if comparison is the thief of joy, right? And so if you are always comparing yourself to something like porn, then yes, you are never going to mount up to that. I mean, no pun intended.
No. So, young man, couple walks in to have a intimate therapy session with you, and obviously it's centered around sexual relations. How would you coach a young man trying to please his wife? What would you instruct him to do? What would the instructions be for that young man?
So a couple walking into my office with dealing with intimacy issues may not necessarily just be sexual intimacy. There are several types of intimacy. We have emotional intimacy, we have spiritual intimacy, all of those things. And all of those things are connected. We cannot separate them, right? So and the second thing is that I'm not going to coach him into doing anything. Okay. I may give specific suggestions, right? So we have what we call a implicit model. We give clients permission to be able to talk. We give limited information around like stats and normalcy, like this is normal, like, because most people just want to know, am I normal? And yes, you are. And then we give like specific suggestions. Okay, well, this is not working. Have you tried this? But for the most part, I want to know from them what they know, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and build on that, right? So as a sex therapist, I want people to know clothes are not coming off in my therapy sessions. I ain't taking my clothes off. They ain't taking their clothes off. None of that.
But
so let me be very clear about that, right?
I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea about this, right?
Right. But a lot that question comes up a lot. Like, what does a sex therapist do? But I do not believe that most people need sex therapy. Most people need comprehensive sex education. And so when I provide comprehensive sex education, usually the problems resolve itself.
Now talk to us about that. The problem resolves itself in what way? Would you
say? So for instance, if a woman told me that she does not have vaginal orgasms, if I told her that you're in the norm, right? And then I help her understand that her labia is touch sensitive, her outer labia, inner labia, clitoral hood, and the clitoris is touch sensitive, but her vaginal canal is not. And it makes sense that the majority of women do not have orgasms from penetration alone.
Right.
She then says, oh, I'm not broke. And then she understands, oh, so what is really important is the clitoris, right? And most people don't know basic anatomy. And so when I talk to them that the clitoris is not just here, right? The clitoris lays behind the labia. That in fact, the clitoris looks like this.
Right.
right? And so when you give basic anatomy, and that the clitoris has 10,281 nerves, so if you're gonna get on anybody's nerves, get on that one.
On
That,
anybody's.
that
That's good.
so when you begin to educate people, and she's like, oh, so I'm not broke, and the majority of women need clitoral stimulation to have an orgasm. Oh, okay. So now you're not thinking in your head, because what you learned from porn was that penetrative sex always leads to an orgasm.
Orgasm, right? And that
And
kind of
then the other thing is, I teach stop chasing orgasms and lean into pleasure.
that is a great point, because I think that matters a whole bunch there.
Yeah, I mean, I think chasing the orgasm, I think it puts a lot of pressure on everybody, right? Because that's what the ultimate goal is for everybody at every angle. So that's what they feel like, and if they feel like they don't achieve that, then they have failed both sides. Because if a woman doesn't get there, then she's looking at him like, you failed me, and if he doesn't get her there, and he knows he didn't get her there, then he's feeling like a failure as well.
And that's how you show up in the world.
You got it, Benji.
so, so when you don't, please tell me if I'm correct. When you don't satisfy your woman, she shows up out in the world unsatisfied.
Well, here's the thing. If who you are
Hmm?
in the bedroom, as if who you are as a man is to please her, and that's and it's banking on you being able to please her, your manhood is banking on.
Did we lose her for a second there, Ken?
Yeah, I think we lost her for a second.
Lost her for a second.
Yeah, but I think kind of where she may have been heading was, you can't, as a man, you shouldn't be depending on what you do in the bedroom to define you as a person.
Right.
Because if you do that, then there's gonna be some letdowns.
Right.
Because every sexual experience you have it's not gonna be a master class. It's not gonna be the best session ever for
I
that
mean, wait,
individual.
if you watching that porn and you believe that, right, that's how it's going to go, that could totally mess with your psyche.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the problem with porn a lot of times, because people feel like that's the way it's supposed to go, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way it's supposed to present itself. And then when they actually get into situations and it doesn't present itself in that manner, then they feel like something's wrong. I failed. I'm inadequate. It's a lot that could go wrong with that, but that's why you can't depend on that, man. You just really can't depend on porn to be like she said, your roadmap.
She's back. We lost her for a second there, but we
Sorry,
good.
I don't know
No,
what happened. Technology.
It's all right. We used to this, so we just keep rolling. We know you'll pop back in. Uh, can you remember that last thought that you were making there? We'd like to get that definitely on the live.
yeah, I think she froze up again.
She froze up again.
Yeah.
Well, either way, listen, Ken. We've talked about this before, because we believe that, you know take care of your diet. Make sure you're good. For the fellas out there, there's some stuff you need to lay off of. There's some stuff you don't need to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Notice, what's going on in your body. But take that maca root, take that horny goat weed. If you're married, you got to take care of your lady, right?
Yeah, you better, because if you don't, somebody else is going to.
Adam 22 in this joint.
So hey, but and everybody ain't getting paid for it. So Adam 22 got paid a lot of money for that. But you know what I'm saying, most of us is losing money if we lose our women to that aspect. But yeah, that's a terrible that's a terrible way to lose your lady, man, is because you fail to do the things that you needed to do to please her, not just sexually, just in general, and you
Do you,
lose her to somebody else.
Ken, do you think that that is one of the reasons why people get involved into like the swingers life?
N-
Uh, to find someone else to please. Oh, I think we're back again.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it keeps going out.
Trust me, mine's tripping. I'm on my iPhone right now. Yeah, trust me. So don't even trip. It's we're back though. All right, I think we're back in there.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Benji.
All right, so uh, can you remember the line of questioning before we kind of lost track there? Can you remember that point you were trying to make there? So we can get that on the live.
I
Yeah,
think she froze
I
again.
think we lost her again.
Yeah, so that's why I was saying go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Okay, so do you think that that's one of the reasons why people get into the swingers life is because they have a lady or vice versa, and they can't please her, so why not, swing out a little bit in the attempt to see your lady be pleased. So you think that that's one of the reasons because a guy can't please his woman
I mean,
off the top?
it could be, but I'm also a believer of the fact that a lot of people are very promiscuous before they get into relationships now or marriages, and then they set a precedence for themselves of being able to experience different people.
Hmm.
So then when they do get into a committed relationship or a marriage or something like that, because they've slept with so many people beforehand, they're
Right.
used to that variety. They're used to, she does this well, she does this well over here,
Hmm.
and they never have really one person that does everything well, so they're used to
Right.
going here and here for this and that. And God's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? You might have a girl that's the best at, you know what I'm saying, this over here, but she ain't too good at this over here, so you used to, kind of picking and choosing. So when you get into a committed relationship and you don't have that, and you both feel the same way, then yeah, that the fact that you could become swingers could be a real option. But again, as we said, sometimes in a committed relationship, dude, that's not for everybody, man. Because
Fact. I agree.
I'm gonna tell you like this, like we say all the time. You talking about going to those swingers clubs and being a swinger. You go to a swingers club and you gotta stand there and your girl's getting pounded out in the corner by this dude over here. Everybody can't handle that, bro. Everybody thinks
That
that
is a fact.
a lot of people think they want to experience that, but they don't want to experience that.
Yeah, they don't want to experience that. And to me, I think that's kind of a little weird, bro, to watch your lady get like that, or even vice versa. So I'm not sure. I don't know. That don't sound safe to me. You get what I'm saying? Like it sounds a little off a little bit. You get what I'm saying? But who knows? I mean, people got their own concepts and ideas out there, right?
Man, nobody wants to stand around and watch their lady get demolished.
Get
I,
your lady getting conquered?
I,
Hold
don't-
on.
I don't care who you are. If that's not something that you're used to doing,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure the first time you are there and you witness something like that, that that's got to be that's got to be that's gonna shake your foundation just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
because yeah, because I mean, listen, most guys, or especially guys, are territorial,
I,
right? We don't find ourselves sharing, and from a lot of my homeboys that I talk to, they don't want to share, but they want to share, right? They don't want to share their
oh,
girl,
see?
but they want to share other. They want to be able to smash other chicks, but they don't want other dudes to smash they chick,
Right.
right? So for guys, it's more of a, I think it's more of an ego thing, right? Like this
Right.
this this lady belongs. This lady's my lady,
Right.
but I'm for the streets. But this lady is my. I want her exclusively, but I don't want to be exclusive to her. So for guys, it may be a little bit different, but like for the women, you know what I'm saying? Quite honestly, I think I know more women who are involved in the swinger lifestyle than I do
Yo,
guys.
right.
So
I would say so as well. Um, because it gets a little weird out there. All right, I think she's back. I think we're back. I think she's back. Is it? I don't know why it keeps freezing up on her.
I don't know either, but yeah, but
It's
I don't know, man. That swingers thing is something different. So me personally, I don't think I could do it.
me neither. Nah, I can't. Nah, she said, doctor said, how you show up in the bedroom is how you show up out in the world. Listen, you can be a savage in the bedroom. I don't want to watch nobody else be a savage in the bedroom.
All right, audience, do you think that you all could live the swinger life? Do you think that you could be involved in a swingers club, or have you ever been to a swingers club? You know what I'm saying? You could talk about your experience in third person if you want to, you know what I'm saying, to keep keep people from knowing it's you.
Keep
You
it
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
confidentiality going, right?
Because I think it's more of a prevalent thing now, and it used to be. I'm gonna tell you my first experience with just knowing that these places existed. I was in my 20s working at working at a spot, and the guys used to always talk about, if you in Dallas, you might have heard of this place called Lido's. Right now, I ain't gonna keep saying the name because I don't want no issues with nobody saying I'm slandering their establishment or whatever. But
Right,
this is just this what I heard. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my early 20s working at this place, and they keep talking about when they get off on Fridays. You know, dudes get their paycheck, they go to this place called Lido's.
hmm
So I'm like, what the heck is that? And they're like, yeah, we got to take a girl with us or something like that. And I'm like, so what is it? Why is it got to be all these details that you got to do just to go to this place? So what I discovered was this place was, I guess, a swingers hangout, right? So you have to come as a couple. So you have to, be able to share.
hmm
You share, she share, and then what I'm saying, y'all go from there. I guess you have to pay some type of interest fee, and then you go in there and you get to go ham. But I was like, wait a minute. So you telling me that y'all leave here on Friday, you know what I'm saying? Friday night after work, we get up, back then, I think I was working like 2 to 10, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So you get off work at 10 p.m. at night, and you go to this place and just be smashing random folks, you know what I'm saying? Over here, just a room full of people just smashing. I'm like, this is crazy to imagine that this exists in the world, a room where people just a big gangbang or big
right.
orgy. I'm like, I just, my young 20-year-old mind, I hadn't been
Couldn't
exposed to any
imagine.
of that. So other than probably seeing it on porn, so I couldn't imagine that this place actually existed, and it was right up the street from the job.
Right.
So they were like, Big Ken, man, you want, nah, dog.
Up on me.
Nah, dog. I'm not gonna be able to participate in those activities. Y'all
Right.
go ahead and y'all have fun. But I can't lie, as a young 20-year-old, I did enjoy hearing the stories because I'm like, this is wild that
Right.
some place like this actually exists. And I know there's people that's gonna look at this episode or that are looking at it right now live, and they have been to a swingers club before.
Mm.
And they are probably is afraid to share their experience to say they have been. But if we have anybody out there who is not afraid to share their experience, please jump in the comments and let us know. Have you ever been to a swingers club? Go ahead, Benji.
Now, leading from that into this, because since we're on the topic, because the thought I keep running with her, with Dr. Johnson, what she mentioned was you show up who you are in the bedroom is who you are out in the world. Have you ever, in your time frame, knew that a woman wasn't? You didn't know her, but you knew she wasn't getting pleased sexually just from meeting her.
I can't say that I knew, but I've worked with, in my line of work, I work with a lot of women. So
Hmm.
I've heard them talking to each other about what they ain't getting and what they
Right.
need and what they desire. So I'm just like, dang, is that bad? It's that bad for y'all out here that y'all
Right.
coming to work telling your coworkers and talking about this stuff at work? Because first of all, you shouldn't be talking about that type of stuff in the workplace. But of course, it's gonna happen.
As
And
HR, y'all better quit talking like that. You're gonna get sent to HR.
and you got to watch it too as a guy, because it's a lot of women that talk loud like that because they want you to hear them. They
Right.
want you to hear that they're not, getting this, that, and the third. So hopefully you'll
We
say,
can
you know
will
what?
get the oil, as the old folks used to say.
Yeah, they looking for you to say, "Oh, I can help."
Facts.
So, but we have one comment. Let's see. All right, Miss Newsom. She said, "I've been to one, but never participated." So what is that? So you just went to be a voyeur, as they say. You just went to see the
Or to
see the
see
see,
what was
see the
going on,
scene,
huh?
but you ain't wanna participate. And I think that would be weird for me. I think
For
because
me too, yeah.
yeah, because to be honest with you, I've never been in a place where other people were having sex and I'm able to see it. Now, you've been in a hotel before, or anywhere where there's somebody,
Out at the pool.
well, there's somebody maybe in another room where you're at having sex, or you might be able to even hear it,
Right.
but you're not in the room while they're actually doing it to see it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So to be able to go to a swingers club or a sex club or something like that and just have these room full of people getting it in, again, that seems like it would just be awkward to me, because you know what I'm saying, that's not my thing.
Right.
But as the doctor said, I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum. If they like it, then I'm gonna let them do their thing.
I like that phrase though. I'm not going to yuck nobody's yum, because I mean, everybody is their own individual, has their own preferences. You get what I'm saying? So that's your business. I ain't rocking. I ain't with Adam 22, so I ain't flowing with it.
I
Uh,
have no idea how the conversation got here.
yeah. Well, well. I think we were just talking about different experiences that people have, and the reason why, when people are dating, they're not pleased. And Benji was asking, do you think that that's why people go to swingers club, because they're not being pleased fully at home, so they feel like they need to experience some other help?
And I would say the more mature person would bring that to their relationship. Now, I'm not saying because you go to a swingers club that you're immature. That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Right.
saying if that's where you have to go to get your needs met, instead of bringing that to your relationship, right? And asking for what you need and really working on that, because um sex is a skill set. You can learn it. Like you can, so you have to be willing to ask for it, and you also have to be willing to work with your partner around exploring and finding out those things. I think sometimes let me not say the mature way. It's the easier way to go and ask for your needs to be met somewhere else, and keeps you from having to really show up in your relationship and ask for what you need. I think that's a better way to say that, not a mature way, but it's easier to go elsewhere. And I think that's why even infidelity and affairs can have, it's easier to go into an affair because there's no risk of loss in
Right.
the affair versus in the marriage, in the committed relationship. And a lot of times when I say marriage, I'm talking about emotionally committed relationships,
Right.
And I was
whether
So
telling
they're married or not.
and I was
now,
telling
now let me,
Benji, go,
because this was before I forget about it. This was on my head. So um, we're gonna bring in the church folks. Let's
Yeah.
folks
hold
in.
on, Benji, before you bring in the church folks. I want you bringing the church folks, and then I say this. Let me say, let me say this first before you bring in the church folks. Hold on. Okay, so I was telling Benji that I think part of that, what we just were talking about, is we have people out here like there are a lot of people who are way more promiscuous nowadays, right? So then in times past, where
Right.
it's okay and it's accepted to be, to change partners, what I'm saying, fairly quickly, and it's acceptable. So people set themselves up for that because they have so much variety while they're out there, and then when they get in a committed relationship, they're used to that. They're trained themselves to want these different people and this variety of things. So then when they get in a committed relationship, it's hard for them to commit to that one person, even if they love that person, because they're so used to this variety. Do you think that that's part of it too?
Is it that they're used to the variety, or they're used to it? They're used to the highs of things, right? Not like it, I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want is it that they're used to the variety, or are they used to the chaos and the of the highs, right? All of this variety, all of these things, like I often talk about like how people think makeup sex sometimes is the better sex, and to me that tells me that your nervous system is used to kind of chaos.
Mm.
Okay, that makes
That's a
perfect
great
sense.
point.
Right. And so when people actually have been used to chaos, when they get into a healthy relationship, they mistake it for it being boring.
And that is very true because, listen, when I was dating, that's how I weeded out a lot of women I knew, whether it wasn't their looks, it wasn't any of that, because, I wouldn't date no ugly women, period, anyway. But it was like, she's not used, she doesn't like peace. It has to be chaotic for her to feel significant, if that's the right word, or feel
Mhm.
in a peaceful space where we're just cooking, we chilling, we watching a show, we doing this, we sipping our wine, we just relaxing and chill, and we ain't fussing and fighting and arguing. Like,
Mhm.
that's like boring if it ain't at.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've heard a lot of young women, especially on these, what I'm saying, new podcasts and shows that sweeping the internet. They call people boring all the time, especially younger ladies in their 20s and maybe early 30s. Well, he's boring. All he wants to do is sit home and watch Netflix and do this, and he won't
Mhm.
fight for me, and he don't want to pull a strap out. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about no strap in the
Yeah,
bedroom. I'm
yeah,
talking about I'm
yeah,
talking about
yeah. I know
a
exactly
gun,
what you were
a,
talking about,
a
but
gun.
probably both.
Well, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just it may be, but
Gotta be careful, boy. You gotta no dick,
yeah,
no dick,
yeah,
no dick.
yeah. But it's just they say that guys in general aren't exciting anymore. They don't do all this wild stuff, and I'm like, why they got to do all this wild stuff for you to be pleased by them? It just
because
sounds crazy.
kids raised in chaos become adults triggered by peace.
Mm.
Mm, I like that.
Put that on the
I
shirt.
think we deserve some finger snaps or something on that one.
Yeah, we got to put that on the shirt.
Gotta put So, Dr. Johnson, let me ask you this, because I know you also you don't have no color lines, like you. It's church folk, whatever you want, they're all there. How do your how do the average church person finds comfort in discussing sexual intimacy with you? How does that typically go?
Do
Because
you want to know who
or
you want to know who my biggest my biggest clients are?
church folk.
Churches.
Oh,
I get
Interesting.
called into churches.
because is it because that they're actually scared to have those conversations like that? What do you think it is? What do you? It's almost like the church, well, it hides it, and you see it. Like, you see the old men looking at women. You see it. Like, how, what do you say is the issue? You see it back and forth.
But we don't see the old women looking at the men.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's there. You know when somebody peeking at you, looking at you. You
Yeah.
all of those types of things, right? So, what would you say? Why do you think it's so uncomfortable? But when they get in that space, they kind of open up a little bit more.
Can I go way back?
Go ahead.
And so this is a little bit about me. Part of me getting in this work had to do with, really, I wanted to study psychology because I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand why people behave and do the things that they do.
Right.
Like why I chose to go to school and my brothers chose drug, alcohols, and in prison. Right. Like why, how did that? And so when I got to I did my undergraduate program, and then when I got into my doctoral program, they said they had several tracks. You could go on the health track, you could go on the community psychology track, or you could go on the individual family couples track. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna do couples. And they said, and within the couples track, you can also do sex therapy. I was like, wait, what? Like, I can learn about sex and not have shame attached to it. And the reason why and at this time I had kids and was married already.
Right.
And part of that had to do with, I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, and we didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about sex or intimacy at home. We didn't talk about it at church. And while the church is well-meaning and the intent is good, the impact on marriages from the messages the church gives is detrimental to a lot of marriages.
I agree.
So churches, I don't know how we skip over Song of Solomon,
All the time.
not understand and understand all of that sensuality, sexuality in the Bible. I don't understand that. However, I will say that churches will call me in, not because they don't want to talk about it. I don't know that they are really equipped to talk about it. Right. And I also don't think that they should be talking about it without somebody who is educated around the information to bring real good information. Right?
And Solomon was well equipped to talk about it.
And so I go into churches, and it was actually my apostle when I brought in the what they call toys. Mm-hmm. My apostle said those are actually pleasure enhancing devices. And she's like, I don't think you should call them toys. And from that day forward, I began to talk about how they were to increase your pleasure and how you can utilize them. Because as we get older, as we gain weight, like all of these things, our bodies change.
Right.
And if you don't change your mindset with your body changing, you are going to have some type of sexual dysfunction. When we come into our sexual selves, we usually do that with the bodies we don't keep. And so we tend to think that is how we are supposed to look, feel, and respond with those bodies that we don't keep. We keep those adolescent bodies for a short amount of time. And so we think sex and sexuality is supposed to look like that. We'll stay stuck in that time. I tell people all the time, when me and my husband got together, I was 15 years old, right? He could kiss me on my neck or carry my books, and I was all excited. He kissed me on my neck now, like that. I'm thinking, is the dishes done? Is the trash taken out? Like all of the. So those are things that have changed over time. So you need more stimulation. You need more emotional connection. You need more of this, more of that. And it's important to talk about that, because if you keep doing what we was doing when we was 15,
it ain't gonna work, right?
It ain't gonna work. I don't have that 15-year-old body anymore.
Right. And I think that is huge, because that your relationship should be ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Be learning your partner daily. I think, Ken, we talked about this on a certain show. Like, people change. Life changes. The woman changes. You change. Life itself is going to change you over time. So as you go forward, you need to be intentional about the intents that you have with the lady. And I think that makes a huge difference.
You don't wear the same shoes every day. You don't eat the same kind of meals every day for the rest of your life. So if you change your shoes and you change your meals, why not change the variety in how you experience sex and sexuality?
Which brings me to my next question. Do you think that because of constant disagreement that means that a person really isn't in love as much with the person, because there's always a disagreement? Do you believe in that thought process or that idea?
So you're talking about this love scale?
Yes. I had to throw it in there, right? Because I'm sure we're going to get into the psychology aspect a little bit as we go forward. And
Okay. All right. So one I haven't read the book, so I can't really speak to that. But here's what I will say, just based off the premise of if we do not agree that we're not in love. Yeah, I can speak to that.
Right.
If you have to think the same, dress the same, look the same, feel the same, one of us is unnecessary.
I like that.
Okay. So in reality, to keep long-term fire burning in a relationship, you have to use your individuality, not lose your individuality
I like that.
in a relationship.
Now,
So
I don't even lie. You need to put that on a t-shirt. Don't go back and watch these. I'm telling you.
right. And so it makes me question, like, where does my God-given design come in if I have to agree with you, or my husband has to agree with me around any and everything? We have different lived experiences, we have different upbringings. How could we possibly even think the same and agree all the time? I think a lot of times when we start off in relationships, we highlight a lot of the commonalities, and we like, oh, we're just compatible. But you can only do that for so long. Every single relationship will hit emotional gridlock where they're like, okay, I'm no longer willing to compromise a part of myself to make this go with the flow.
Right.
Every single relationship will hit emotional gridlock. And you have to decide whether or not you're going to show up, or you're going to pretend who they need you to be to make this relationship look good.
And you can only pretend for so long.
There's a lot of people who pretend for a long time.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of people who pretend for
there's
a long
there's
time.
a lot of people who pretend for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why would you say, or in a couples, we're having this conversation, and how do you notice a person is pretending, or are you even looking for that when you're in couples counseling or anything like that?
Most people show up to the wedding, they never showed up to the marriage.
Wow. Ouch.
Whew.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, because divorce rates are high.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that. And a lot of people aren't intent on learning each other, spending time. You have to spend time. Like, I'm that time guy. You get what I'm saying? So, like, I'd rather have your time than you buying me something. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can buy, you get what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people are in that space, and sometimes they have to be careful, because they can get into that pretending. And I don't know if I could pretend that long. That ain't me. So I don't know.
Well, what you just mentioned too, Benji, is you got to remember, we talk about it all the time, knowing somebody's love language. You know what I'm saying? Your love language is, quality time, right? You want time, but if you don't know somebody's love language, you know what I'm saying? It's not the end all to be all. It doesn't solve all problems, but it helps.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Knowing how that person wants to be loved, you know what I'm saying, wants to receive love. So,
right.
That's how.
Me personally, think that we need all of those. That all of those things are our love language.
I agree.
Every single one of them. And while I think the 5 love languages concept in the book has been very beneficial to many couples, I believe that perhaps our primary love language is maybe rooted in our trauma and what we did not get.
So what we didn't get is what we're reaching out for, in a sense.
Yeah.
What you didn't get is what you desire the most.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And see, that takes us into the psychological aspect, because you are a licensed psychologist. I know we spend a majority of the time on the intimacy part, but
I am a psychologist that specializes in couples and sex therapy and
right,
trauma. So
right.
yeah,
So it all
it's
matters.
all connected.
What is the psychological tie to all of this in your aspect when you're meeting with a client or you're coaching or whatever? Where do you stand psychologically when you're having these conversations?
Mm. I know that you asked me about nature versus nurture,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and I think psychology's pathology is this need to have binaries, whether it's nature or nurture. And what we now know is that it's not either or, it's and both.
Okay.
That they cannot be separated, that they are directly connected. That whatever is, if my mother experiences trauma, this is passed down to me through epigenetics, right? And epigenetics can be behaviorally as well as through DNA.
Hmm.
And so if things are passed down through me, nurture is also going to be impacted. So if she is traumatized through DNA, right? Epigenetics says that we can pass down trauma up to 14 generations.
Wow.
If she can pass down trauma through genetics, when she shows up in the world, she's also going to parent from that trauma lens, love, fight, all of that from that trauma lens.
Hmm.
So when we think about how we parent, and sometimes when I'm dealing with couples and I'm talking about like their beliefs about things and parenting and things like that, I really help them unpack where they got what they do.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times we say it's culture when it's actually been a trauma response.
I would agree. Even noticing myself in even at almost 46 now, I still notice how I respond based off stuff that happened to me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sitting there like, how in the world am I 46 and that's still relevant in a way? Suppressed,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still relevant in a way. So I can totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why our community struggle with concepts like gentle parenting is because gentle
Oh, the gentle parenting, huh?
it's because gentle parent, we haven't always had the space to gentle parent. When we go back to like plantation life, right? We had to beat our kids into submission so that the slave master did not beat them, and so that they were not sold and or killed.
Right.
Today, we still practice that because the slave master is not just a slave master, but now we don't want the police to beat them, right? So we try to keep them obedient and in line and things like that. So that is not culture. That is actually a trauma response, a pattern of survival that has been passed down.
Hmm.
We say stuff in our community like, you, as a Black person in this white world, you have to work twice as hard to be half as, recognized. That's a trauma response. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's a trauma response. When you stay ready because you don't have to get ready, that means your nervous system is always on alert.
Mm.
That is very true. That is very true. So how do you psychologically, client is in psychologically, they're in that survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
What tools are you tips are you giving them to kind of get out of survival mode? Because once they leave your office, they probably really are still in survival mode.
Most likely they are.
Yeah.
And that takes work. It's a retraining of the nervous system.
Right.
It's I mean, we can say stuff like get over it, like mind wise, like you just gotta think your way, you gotta think positive, you gotta think, but that tells me we don't understand the nervous system. The nervous system is constantly scanning the environment to see if it's safe.
True.
Right? We don't get to decide whether or not we can get over something. The body says, no, we cannot. Stay on alert until it feels safe. So you teach the nervous system true self-care. I tell women all the time, getting your hair and nails done is not self-care. The body doesn't even understand that language, that you're getting your nails done and you're getting your hair done. The body understands yoga. The body understands tapping. The body understands affirmation. The body understands exercise, eating healthy. It understands sleeping. It understands rest. And sleep and rest are two different things. That's why sometimes you can go to sleep for 8 hours and still wake up tired. So retraining the nervous system and understanding when you're safe. Breath work, helping them learn how to breathe, right? Most of us are not even aware of our breath and how we are breathing, right? But a lot of times we are carrying tension in our bodies, in our shoulders, right? You got your shoulders up here. If you can drop your shoulders, you were in fight or flight. If you are in fight or flight, cortisol is being released.
Right.
Cortisol eats up our sex hormone. Like the desire for sex decreases because we're stressed out.
Hold on. Say that again.
So for instance, women who are stressed out, who are not in the mood for sex, is because cortisol thrives off of progesterone, which is our sex hormone that makes us want to have sex. So cortisol is our stress hormone, right? That is released in the body. And if we're not doing something with that cortisol, we're not working it out, we're not, telling our body that we're safe. This also communicates to our body that we're safe. Tapping, right? Breathing, all of those things help us understand that we're safe and we're relaxed. You cannot be in fight or flight and rest, digest, and play at the same time. So sex is play. You can't enjoy pleasure and play when you are in fight and flight, because you are actually in survival, and the only options you have is to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which is people pleasing.
You know what? That's probably why people fail at sex in general, and then why they fall short, because they stressed out and they still trying to perform, and it's just not the performance ain't performing.
Boom.
So I mean,
and I want to say this: sex should never be a performance. You should only be performing if you on a stage. Yes. Sex should be an experience, a place where you go.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because the thought I had in there is, what do you say to the people who they thrive under stress? Like high stressful moments. I know it's a football analogy, but can you imagine how many times Tom Brady has had to be under stressful situations and it seemed like he performed better? Like how does that even come into play?
It's a trauma response.
Cortisol or no?
It's a trauma response. So when you are again, when you're under a trauma response, remember it's fight, flight, freeze. Right. So the running the ball could be a part of the anxiety that's rooted in all of that. So yes, he can perform under stress, right? And then what happens when he doesn't?
Okay.
And could that also be
feels a little bit insignificant? I failed. So the same. I'm sure that response comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could that also be tied to, like you said with Tom Brady, performing in those, in those heightened situations, and it's also been said sometimes stress will, I guess, heighten certain senses. You know what I'm saying? And as you said, I mean, it's a trauma response, but it does heighten certain senses. And some people have, they mistake that for something great because it's helping them in that moment, but it's still a trauma response.
Right.
Yeah. So let me also be clear too that some stress is good, prolonged stress is not.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So some stress is good, prolonged stress is not. When we are in prolonged stress, it is wear and tear on the body.
Mm.
It's weathering. And when you think about even just us as Black people, prolonged stress of race and racism has a wear and tear on our body.
I would agree.
Cortisol is constantly being um, released in our bloodstream and in our bodies, right? And so so yes, some people perform great under stress, and some people do not. And the difference has to do with a lot of upbringing, a
Right.
lot of genetics, a lot of trauma, and a lot of resilience, right? So it's not a clear science on this, like because this happened, this happens. Because these concepts are so nuanced and complex.
Right.
In the therapy office, we unpack that. Like, what does this mean for you when you can only perform under stress, right? A lot of people procrastination, right? They perform the best under procrastination.
True.
But if you go back and you look at it, a lot of times they have had overactive nervous systems where they had to perform under
Right.
stress. And so
And,
that becomes adaptability.
right. And I honestly, I wholeheartedly believe that because coming from where I come from, it was crazy. Stress levels
Mhm,
always on high. You weren't even sure if you could lay down at night without somebody kicking in the door.
mm,
But I've always noticed this about myself is that whenever there's trauma, trouble, problems, or whatever is around, I literally become more focused, and it's like
mhm,
I'm y- I know I can handle this moment. It's like Jesus out,
mhm,
the boat is sinking, the disciples are crying and going crazy, and Jesus is still asleep on the boat. He ain't
mhm,
phased by it. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And I noticed that. So that is, in essence, a trauma response as well, right?
mhm, mhm. It definitely can be. Because when we function best under stress, imagine what you would do if you were not stressed,
Right,
right? Because, like you said, certain senses shut down and some become heightened.
right.
Visual becomes heightened,
Yes.
hearing decreases. So, think about even being in a disagreement or an argument with your partner. If you feel threatened, you go into fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah.
Hearing lowers.
Hmm.
So they really can't hear you. So when you say, so are you really listening to me? So did you just hear what I said? No, they didn't.
No.
Because they're trying to figure out, how am I going to survive this? Do I need to flee? Do I need to fight? You become the big bear
Right.
in the forest.
Hmm. Psychology 101, y'all. Listen, we always bring the best guests to the show. I just want y'all to know that. I'm just like we always bring that in. We always bring that information on the Fiyah Session.
Yeah, she has a lot of quotables today too. So, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a lot of t-shirts being made.
Look for
So
your quotes to be tagged on this post as we go forward as well, because we're going to use some of these to put out there because
Mhm.
definitely some amazing information thus far. So
Yeah.
and I wanna ask as we start to wrap up, one question I always like to ask our guests, what made you jump into this field that you're in, because a lot of people don't get a chance to work in fields that they're really passionate about or that they love doing their job. What made you go into this field?
Mm-hmm. Probably my natural inclination to understand behavior. Like I was saying before, like I wanted to understand my own upbringing, why I went to school versus why my brothers went to prison. Um, and I originally really wanted to interview serial killers to figure out why they did what they did.
Right.
I also realized that I was very attuned as a child. Um, and there was this like inherent desire to kind of like take care of my brothers, and I don't and be a helper. And so I don't know if that was because I was so attuned to my mother's depression and her escape, because I didn't know what depression was at a young age, right? But I knew that I knew that I was supposed to take care of my brothers. Where that came from, because my mother didn't tell me that. But I was attuned to maybe perhaps they weren't being taken care of the way I thought they should have been taken care of. And granted, they were only 2 and 4 years under me.
Right.
And so I don't know. When I reflect on my childhood, I know that there was a sense of responsibilities for other people to be better.
Right.
And then it just unfolded. I know that even in school, psychology just came really natural for me. It answered my why questions.
Right.
Okay.
It
And
answered my why questions.
attached to your then it gets attached to your whole purpose, because if it's answering your whys, I'm sure it adds a lot of purpose to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult thing about working in this field?
Mm. People expecting me to have a magic wand.
I can see that wholeheartedly, because they probably want you to do all the work while they don't do much of the work.
Well, I don't know that they don't want to do much of the work. I think that a lot of times I don't see people as broken, but I do see people's pain, and I know that they don't want to feel it.
Right.
And sometimes the work that we have to do is, you've been putting a Band-Aid on it, and now we're about to do surgery, and things are going to get worse before it gets better.
Right.
And the hardest part is to see things get worse before it gets better, and whether or not they have the ability to have meaningful endurance, to tolerate the discomfort for their growth.
Tolerate discomfort for their growth.
Yeah. That ain't my particular quote, but it's part of, like, the theory in which I see clients from.
I mean, listen, we ain't heard it before, so we're gonna tap to you, and then you got to explain where it came from.
Nah, like I said, I understand it because I've heard many people that have gone to therapy before, and their other mindset, they're gonna show up and say, "Just fix me, doc.
Yeah.
Fix me."
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, it's some work you got to do. You know what I'm saying, on your own. I'm gonna give you some advice and some things to do, but you got to do the work. And then
Right.
everything she said, I mean, it's clear, right? The concepts are clear. You have to
Mm-hmm.
do the work. Things are gonna get a little bit tough before you really see the results that you probably looking for, because she has to help you unpack. And some of that stuff that she gotta unpack, help you unpack, is gonna be uncomfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
hold on to it forever, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But okay, well, we understand that concept, and we're glad that you found something that you're passionate about, and something that you can get up every morning and love doing, and help so many people with that. So that's amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before we get up out of here,
I
is
like that.
is there any type of advice or anything inspirational or motivational that you would like to leave the audience with?
Yes. Yes. I talked about epigenetics and being able to pass down trauma for 14 generations. But if we can pass down trauma, we can pass down resilience, and we can pass down healing.
Right.
And I am of the mindset that we can heal our people, Um, and we got to be able to we got to be open to doing this work.
Right.
And if we are passing down trauma, we're also can pass down healing, and we just got to do this. It's
Right.
no getting over it. It is working through it.
Right.
And we come from ancestors that had strength like nobody's tomorrow.
I
So
agree.
we have to tap into the strength to be cycle breakers.
I like
Wow.
Break these cycles.
I
If
like
that
that.
if
Tap
that
into
don't motivate you, I don't know what will. Nah, I mean for real, because I mean, the one thing that I said I got to post this tonight. And she said if you can pass down trauma, you can pass down, what I'm saying, a way, a means to fix it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So, I mean, people make a lot of excuses, but we just got to start putting in the work, man. We just
Mhm.
got to start putting in the necessary work to make it happen. So, Dr. Johnson, if you could let the people know where they can find you at on social media or how they can reach out to you.
and
Yes.
and also shout out your radio, your
Okay.
thing. Give them all the
All right, so you can check me out on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at the Intimacy Seminars with an S, so the Intimacy Seminars, and I'm on X at got_intimacy. My website is theintimacyseminars.com. And yeah, you can check me out on any wherever you get your podcast, or you can listen live on KBLA Talk 1580. And you just download the app and listen. I'm there with Let's Get Intimate with Dr. Jashana Johnson on Saturdays from 5 to 7, with a rebroadcast on Sundays from 5 to 7. So come join us for Central Saturday and Sexy Sundays.
yeah. All right
Dope,
now.
dope, dope. We
I'm
definitely
saying
appreciate you coming through.
we was on the show, so it was actually
Yeah, go check out Benji's show.
Yeah, we definitely got to do that again because I think I did go check it out, but I gotta rehash that one.
yeah. Get on that. We gotta share that. We gotta share that stuff. See what
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we appreciate you joining us, and like I said, we definitely would like to have you back on one of our topic
yeah.
shows so we can
Yeah.
have a little bit more information on specific topics that
Mhm.
usually the audience feeds us things that they would like to hear about or like to talk about. So we just jump on those topics and try to make it happen.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you
Benji,
for having me.
thank
We
you for
appreciate it.
joining us.
Sorry get the cutouts happen, but we will get as many clips as we can out of this and get those to you for sure.
Okay.
Facts,
Sounds
facts,
good.
facts.
Y'all have an amazing night.
You
Thank you.
too
You
as
too.
well. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Benji Banks, the man, the brand.
Well, internet is can be a great thing and it can be a bad thing.
Okay, where you
Tonight,
going?
I mean, hey, gosh, there's so much to talk about in these topics. When we put these topics together, there's so much meaningful information that comes out, and a little bit of it was cut short. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, we ain't gonna focus on that. I think we had some great content. I think we had some great information, a lot of quotes, a lot of great quotes and quotables from
Yes,
Doc, and a lot of great information. So we definitely gotta be looking for some of those quotes on the page, on
facts.
some T-shirts. The information was solid. So I'm excited, man. I'm
Yeah,
excited from the things that she put out there tonight, and I think with those things and that information, we should be able to move forward and be in a lot better space. You know what I'm saying, with that information for sure.
that is a fact. Because definitely, when we bring these therapists and these psychologists, it's dope to see. And this is no slight for anybody else, but it's dope to see our folks in those spaces and we can pull on them because the relatableness is very, very, very impactful. Not saying that others can't relate, but it's something about when a sister or a brother who kind of been through some of the same rigors that you have can kind of give you information from your perspective. It just kind of hits different, you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that, man, that we get to pull on these psychologists and these clinicians and these doctors, bro. Like just within the last year, 2 years, you know how many doctors and clinicians and stuff we've had on. I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, nah, we definitely, enjoy these episodes because not only are we trying to get information for you all, but we're learning ourselves.
Fact.
The show definitely has had a profound effect on each of us as individuals, with the people that we have on and the topics we discuss. So, don't think we're just doing it just to be doing it. We have a purpose behind every single episode that we do. Trust me.
Facts.
All right, Benji Banks, the man, the brand. Talk to the people before we get up out of here, man. Let them know where they can find you on social media.
Man, listen, Facebook, Benji Banks, can't miss me. Reinvented logo is in the cover photo. I'm the boy holding the glass of wine. You can't miss me there. Instagram, BRB4701. We post all our funny clips on there and drive up the numbers and all that type of stuff. Co Beauty Supply, you can reach me there. Shout out to our locticians, our braid specialists, our barbers, everybody. We're putting everything together. Shout out to my wife, Co Beauty Supply, co-owner with me, and it's just enjoying it, man. Come pull us up on us if you're in the Moreno Valley, California area, 951-208-0306. Come pull up on us because we got what you need in the shop. I'm just saying, got your wigs, your glue, all that stuff, ladies and fellas. We coming for y'all too. We gonna have man units real soon in that joint. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, we coming for you. We coming
Okay,
for
okay. I gotta ask a question too about your shop.
you. Yeah,
Do you all do online orders?
not yet.
Okay,
Being 6 months in, we're trying to we actually have the site set up
okay,
to get it done. We're being in it 6 months. We want to put exclusive product on there. So for example, our $400 wigs. You get what I'm saying? Like specific stuff we want on there because we want people to be able to purchase from the website like it's a different shopping experience
okay,
instead of coming to the store. So we have it lined up already under Kobe Designs, and so we're transforming that and putting that together. So it's gonna be legit. It's gonna be coming soon. Right now, what we're trying to do, my focus is getting the services in the shop, which just met with the barber today. So we'll have her locked in the next week or so. So once we get that locked in, then we got to start working on the marketing aspect in that area, changing that whole thing up. So it's been like these little bits and pieces of adding everything that we need. So, but the online is in place. We're just working on getting it out there kind of like specifically because these women want these wigs, bro. And they come in, but I'm in Mobile, dog. Like, and it on the area, if you could see it, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't put no $400 wigs in that shop.
yeah. I don't know much about that area, so I'll take your opinion of it. But yeah, I can totally understand. That's a different level of products to be offered, and
And if you
yeah,
steal one of my
got to be
wigs,
careful.
coming for you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
$400 wig means that wig is gonna make you at least $950 to $1,000, fam.
Wow.
Close
Well,
to it. One
well,
wig, just one, like that. That's good money because you got to make your money back plus a little bit of profit off the top. So
well, hey, we keep rocking, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all doing an amazing job,
yeah,
and y'all turning up big success. So just keep up that good work, man. And you know what I'm saying? Keep getting those wigs in, man. Man units coming soon. You know what I'm saying?
man,
My
I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, brothers, you don't have to be bald no more.
All right, man. Y'all can catch me at Big Ken on Fire on all social media platforms. If you're on Facebook, just type in Big Ken. I'll pop right up. Make sure you go to YouTube and like and subscribe our YouTube channel, Fiyah Session, Fiyah Session. and we'll pop right up. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and that bell notification. So every time we go live or post new content, you be notified and you can take a look and learn and love the content that we put out there, because we definitely need your support and we love your support. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all for jumping in the comments. Shout out to my guy Mike Lampkin, always coming through and
Yeah.
supporting us. You know what I'm saying? And he's my guy. He also does another podcast that we're on that we're on sometimes, and they do sports.
Right.
So but yeah, so y'all know we love sports. So shout out to them. But like I said, y'all have a good rest of the week. We love y'all. We're gonna be here next week with another dope episode, another dope topic. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Trust me, some more hot topics, because it's a lot going on that we could talk about. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, shout out to my guys at Switch for Real. You know, sports podcast. You know, look
Yeah.
them up on YouTube as well. Keep supporting us all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Y'all already know how we do it. It's the Fiyah Session. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you follow us on all social media platforms